everyone and welcome back, or welcome to Stitches Past 5. My name is Vera and yeah, I do a lot of knitting and some crocheting, or a lot of crocheting depending on the time, which I like to share here. Today I'm doing another podcast. So I'm going to show some of my current projects, recent projects. I think the last podcast episode, or my first podcast episode, I recorded around about a month ago. So I have knitted quite a lot in the last few weeks. I also think it's because mainly it's summer things, so they do just go a little bit quicker because obviously you don't really need sleeves or very minimal sleeves. And some of them are also just smaller projects. I'll also be sharing some of the things I'm currently working on, as well as what I've got planned for the next few weeks ahead, as well as some of my recent acquisitions, so some new yarns I got, and then I got another little knitting toy which I'll share right at the end. Okay, so in my last episode I shared that the next project that I want to make are, or the next two projects that I want to make are, first a crochet mimicking a plastic bag. So it's a crochet plastic bag and I finished it and I'm really happy with it. This is what it looks like. It's literally like the way it's folded, it's meant to like mimic like a plastic bag. They don't really have plastic bags here anymore where I live, here in Austria. So this is kind of like a fun little like memory keepsake of, yeah, plastic bags. And yeah, it was pretty easy to make. It's all made in double crochets with a chain in between and then joined together. The pattern I used was a YouTube video and it was in Korean with not super clear instructions, so it was a little bit more challenging to follow along, I would say, because it is like quite simple. It's made in a big rectangle and then like small rectangles to form the handles. It wasn't too hard to follow, like I could use some of my common sense, but there were definitely some parts where like the pattern didn't really tell you how to proceed. But other than that, if you're looking for a quick, fun crochet project, this is a good one. The yarn I use in this project, I keep everything in like a little notebook now just because it, you know, makes me remember everything. I use Drops Cotton Light, bought on Hobie in the color white. And I used a hook size of 4mm and I used around 133 grams of yarn, so that's like 2 2/3 skeins. And that was actually good because I didn't have more. I literally was left with maybe like 5 meters of this yarn, so I was really happy that I was able to finish it. Otherwise I guess I would have had a little bit of a smaller bag. But yeah, 133 grams. It is a cotton and polyester blend, this yarn, so it's a little bit lighter than regular cotton, but yeah, I would say it feels very cottony. It also, like, it's supposed to have a little less stretch. Now I haven't really used this for like heavy items, but there is a little bit of stretch, but again, it's a bag, like it can stretch a little bit, that's fine with me. I did make a whole video of like me making this bag and following along the pattern, so if you're interested you can go check that out as well. I finished this bag in around about like a week and a half-ish, but that is just because I was gone for half a week, so I didn't really have that much time. I needed to pack, I needed to get ready. I went to see Taylor Swift, which was so exciting. She came to Zurich, which is kind of close to here, so I took a train ride and it was marvelous. First I was like, I want to take this bag like to the concert so I can like show it off. But then I figured, well, I didn't get it finished. I mean, I could have pushed it, but like I didn't want to do that because I figured it's a white bag, it's a cloth bag. Like I don't want to stand there holding my bag the whole night, and that was definitely the right decision. So I finished it once I got back from that concert. Okay, the second item that I shared that I was on my list of things to make next was the Freit top by Önling. And I was also able to finish this one. This one was a little bit of a longer project. So this is the finished item, the finished project. Essentially it is a bottom-up knit tee with this beautiful lace pattern, worked bottom up, and it creates this really cool like wavy effect at the bottom. I will say that this was a little bit of a work of labor. With the lace pattern as well, I had to like kind of get into that. First I tried it with the linen yarn, but like it did not work at all. The lace was not turning out even when I was blocked it and everything. So I undid it all, like days of work, and worked it up again, starting with this wool yarn. The yarn I used, I actually still have one skein left because I'd originally bought this yarn for a different project, and this is the Drops Alpaca mix. It is yeah, it is a 100% alpaca yarn. So I think this is gonna be like a really hot summer, or a hot top to wear in the summer, put it that way. And yeah, in the photos of the pattern, they even show it like worn over a white blouse, or kind of like as a body warmer almost. So maybe that's how I'll end up wearing it too. I haven't worn it yet, just because I find the color is not really mine. I don't know, maybe I made a wrong color choice. The yarn itself like says that it's gonna get to a gauge of 24 stitches by 32 rows, and yeah, with that I was able to make this top. Yeah, the yarn, I don't find it itchy. I have a hat also made from this yarn that like after a few hours of wear, like I am starting to like itch a little bit, so I'm not that like sensitive, so I think I'll be fine wearing this. I did just finish it like a few days ago and I just haven't really come around to wearing it, but I wanted to show it anyways. I'm super happy with how it blocked because this was unraveled yarn, and yes, it is a little bit uneven, but I think the stitches are small enough that you don't really notice it, or it's uneven enough to like make it even again, if that makes sense. The pattern for this is the Frit top by Önling, and I think it is usually a paid pattern, but somehow I got it for free by signing up for a newsletter or something. And I will say that this pattern was a little bit of a pain. I wish I didn't need to say that, but I think if this top is something that you really would like to make, I would say like be wary of the pattern. I would not really recommend this pattern for beginners because there's just a few mistakes in the pattern that kind of like make it a little bit difficult. So it would tell you to knit when you need to purl. It would maybe have like the numbering wrong or something like that. Maybe, I think it's translated from another language. So it was a little bit challenging. Like it doesn't really give description. It just kind of says like, okay, do an I-cord on the side, and then there'll be like an I-cord description like somewhere else, but then it doesn't really fully make sense. So I just wish that the pattern was a little bit more detailed, especially because, you know, there is quite a lot going on in the lace and in the I-cord here on the side, or I-edge I think it's called. So yeah, I was able to finish it, but it was a little bit frustrating because I think when you know that there are some mistakes in a pattern, then you kind of start questioning every part of it, if that makes sense. And yeah, I think the end result is beautiful. I'm really, really happy with this, how this turned out. But it was definitely a little bit laborious, to say the least. A, because it was a thin yarn, but also B, because of the pattern. Still happy I did it. I think I learned a lot just by kind of trusting my own instincts and trusting my knitting experience making this, but I would say that the Frit top by Önling is maybe not so beginner friendly just by the pattern. I have all the fluff flying around from this yarn, but I'm not sure if you can see it on camera. So yeah, for this top, I'll just read you some more things which are in my little book. I also like put little pictures. But I used a needle size of 3.5, and I used 138 grams of the alpaca yarn by Drops Alpaca Mix. So it's a yarn group A, so I guess it's classified as, I don't know, is it fingering? I guess it's fingering weight yarn. And yeah, I used 138 grams, which equates to around 2 3/4 skeins. I started this project on July 3rd, and then I finished it around July 21st, 22nd or something like that. And yeah, the color of the yarn I'll just share is, how do you say this color? 90-20, so I guess it's like a light gray. yeah, I purchased this yarn in Oslo in a yarn shop, but I know that you can also get this online pretty easily. Then I went on a little, I was really into the tops because I just finished this top, the fruit top, the Önling top, and then I wanted to kind of make another top, and I also made a whole YouTube video here about like my favorite summer top patterns that I came across when I was looking for the Önling top, and that included the Audrey top by Petite Knit. This is a purchase pattern on the Petite Knit website, and I literally just finished it today, so I haven't blocked it yet, but I'm still going to show you. Hopefully it'll even out a little bit with blocking. So it's essentially this really beautiful top. The red is showing really nicely on camera, so that looks good. It's essentially this like top that has like pretty like a closed off or like narrow shoulder line, and then it just kind of like forms down, kind of like an A shape. And yeah, I think this is so fun. It worked up really quickly. I think I made this like in a week, just because yeah, it's all pretty much stockinette. It's worked bottom up. You literally cast on and then it tells you to work like this and this many centimeters until you're here. So it was a pretty easy pattern until that point, I guess. And that took me, I don't know, a few days. So that was this part, and then you kind of do the border, which also looks really fun. Like it's this beautiful like rimmed border just with your decreases. You create that, and then you finish it off with an I-cord. And then the back essentially is the same thing, but it comes up a little bit higher, and that way you create this beautiful top. So this is the Audrey top by Petite Knit. I made this Audrey top in the yarn Cotton Light, also by Drops. I do have another skein because I have so much of this because I just like the yarn for various projects. So this one is 50% cotton, 50% polyester. I purchased it online, not on Hobby, but on Algabo, I think it's called, and they ship to Austria, so that works out. The gauge on this, as it's described here, is 21 stitches by 28 rows, and the pattern calls for a gauge of 20 stitches. So I did some gauge swatching, and I was able to achieve the gauge not with the 4mm suggested on here, but rather with a 4.5mm. So that's the needle size I used for it. Yeah, like I said, it took me around a week, and I think it's really fun. It's really effective. I haven't blocked it yet, so I'm probably gonna do that later today. But even then, like, I'm really happy with how this yarn worked up, just because the biggest, and I also actually reviewed this yarn here already because I've used it so much for crocheting. This is my first time like knitting with it, and it works so much better knitting. I wish I'd known that earlier. Like, I made my whole like daisy spring cardigan out of this, and it was a little bit tricky because the yarn kind of splits. So the yarn isn't like, you're probably not gonna be able to see it, but the yarn isn't like wound that much, so it like splits, especially when you're crocheting. That's so frustrating. But when you're knitting, like, I didn't really have an issue, maybe once or twice in this whole entire top, which is really fine, and I think can happen with any yarn. So yeah, super happy with this. I also love the drape. It's a bit of a heavier like material, but I think the drape is really beautiful. And yeah, I mean, it's not heavy. I haven't actually weighed this yet. I think I used around 4 skeins, so it's around 200 grams. Yeah, I'm really happy. I think I'm gonna probably make this like in another color. Let's see how much I wear this one first, and if I wear it a bunch, I'll probably make it in like a more neutral color. But I think this red is also so nice. I love this red color on me, and yeah, I might even start wearing it like as soon as I block it. Okay, so that's the Audrey top, my second finished project of the last few weeks. Yeah, would definitely make this again. Pretty easy pattern as well. I mean, Petite Knit, what can you say? Okay, then the next item that I made literally in, and could you not, like 10-15 minutes is this beanie. Now we are in the middle of July, or at the end of July, so it's like super hot, but I wanted to make this because I wanted to try out my new knitting machine, and that was one acquisition or one thing that I bought recently that I want to share with you. This is a beanie. It did not have a pattern. I literally just made a tube, tied the bottom and top together, and then folded it inwards and tied it back here. The whole thing literally took me maybe 20 minutes, maybe. I didn't time myself, but like definitely not longer than 20 minutes. And yeah, it was fun to make. It seemed so quick. It's almost like this should not exist in this time, but it does, and why not? Yeah, I understand that this is not like a summer item, but I think, yeah, why not? I just really wanted to try it out. The yarn I used for this is this one, the Drops Air. I'm using a lot of Drops yarn today. I think that's, yeah, I just like Drops as a company and I have a bunch of it, so I guess I gotta use it. But this is Drops Air, and it is a baby alpaca merino wool mix. And yeah, the recommended needle size is 5mm, but I just made it on my 48 pin central knitting machine, which is my new acquisition as well. And yeah, I think the gauge is like really loose and fluffy, so I'm excited. I think I'm gonna give this to my partner. I do kind of like it on myself, but I think for him it's just a little bit nicer, and I mean, I can easily make a second one so we can be matching. But yeah, here's a beanie made by my knitting machine that I thought I would also share in this podcast. Now, for my current project, yeah, I think we're in this time now where it's like the end of July, so you kind of have, or at least where we live, we have maybe 2 months of summer left, because come October it's already gonna be like cardigan time or cardigan season when we get into fall. We do live in the mountains, so it's always windy, it's pretty unpredictable, the weather. So I'm kind of asking myself, like, how much more summer knitting do I want to do, or like, do I want to do more summer knitting? But I think I do, and yeah, I'm still like working on a few things, or I'm still working on one summer top that I also showed last time that I have not been motivated to work anything on. So it is this one, the, oopsie, I guess I did do something. I attached like what is gonna be a tank, or like one of the straps. And I showed this last time. I made the panels, the back and the front, and then I just sewed them all together. I think last time I only had one sewed together, so I sewed the second one together. And it's just like, it's too short, so I have to make a lot more granny squares that I did not really have the patience for. I mean, obviously this is crocheted, this is my own pattern, and I just have not been motivated. So maybe this will be my motivation, so that hopefully next podcast I can share a finished top, because I don't think it's that much more work. I just think kind of like do it and get it over with. And I think the color is gorgeous. I think it really like suits me as well, like the dark green and the beige. But yeah, my other work and project that I want to be done by summer, but I haven't been that motivated on, just because I've been really like into these two tops mainly that I've been making. So this one's kind of been lying on the side, but hopefully next time I'll be able to hopefully show you more of this. I don't know, we'll see. If not, then it's a story for next summer, which is also fine. And then my next work in progress, which I actually literally just casted on today because I finished the Audrey top by Petite today, is a pair of socks. So this is the stage we're currently at, just on 2.5mm needles, or double pointed wooden needles, which I haven't used wooden double pointed needles in forever, and something about the lightness of them, something about like, they feel a little more fragile. I just enjoy that right now. The pattern I'm using is Kutavakika's Love Heart socks, I believe they're called. They're from her book, but essentially it's a double ribbed sock with a little love heart on. But I think I'm actually gonna modify the pattern because I am making this as a gift. I think I've mentioned before that I've kind of fallen out of a habit of making socks. I used to make a lot of socks. I think that's like that was one of my first knitting projects that I really wanted to do. I wanted to learn how to make socks, and so I have memories of my grandma literally like finishing cooking lunch because I really wanted her to teach me how to make socks, but I was too impatient, so I just kind of taught myself, and it worked out pretty well because that's the sock pattern I then used for probably the next 10 pairs of socks that I made. I must have been like maybe 8 years old. So then I made a bunch of socks kind of like throughout the years. I think it's always nice to have like a small sock project lying around if you don't want to do something big, if you don't have much space to travel with. I always kind of used to take a pair of socks, but I haven't really done that in recent years just because now I have so many socks and I wear them, but like I've just not felt the need that I need another pair of socks. So I got motivated again. I ordered sock yarn off of Hobie. So it's this one here. So it's the Friends Sock Wool by Hobie. I think it's their own brand. Hobie also distributes like brands, but they also have their own brand. And this one, I think, oh yeah, so this one is 75% wool, 25% polyamide. And this is actually gonna be a gift, which I'm really excited to make. And I have like, it's a gift for 2 people, so I'm gonna make like this one with combination with brown, and then like a brown sock with a white stripe and a white stripe with a brown stripe. And I think it'll be really cute. I am starting now because I've learned that with knitting gifts you need to start early, because otherwise it's just not enjoyable, because it becomes like a chore kind of. And I'm really loving it. Like, I'm like, oh, I miss knitting socks. I think the last socks I made must have been like, I don't know, 4 or 5 years ago, so like a long time ago. And so far it's looking really cute, just 2x2 knitting, ribbing. And yeah, I'm gonna follow the pattern, but then probably modify it a little bit. I feel like I know how to make socks, but I'm also curious to learn about like different heel constructions, because I've usually made the same, like a flap and gusset, I think it's called, heel constructions. I'm just curious what this pattern uses. I haven't read that far ahead yet, but we will get there. Alrighty, so now I want to share some of the other acquisitions. I basically ordered yarn recently. Some of you have been asking like where I get my yarn from, and the thing with here, like I live in a relatively, or a mid-sized town in Austria, and there are around like 2 or 3 yarn shops. They're never open, and it's so difficult. And I feel like, yeah, I am in there and like I see stuff that I like, but it's not like stuff that I love. So if I'm gonna spend a lot of money on yarn, I want it to be something that I really enjoy. So I tend to order my stuff online. Now when I'm traveling somewhere, in my last episode I shared the yarn that I bought in Riga, and when I'm traveling somewhere, like I love going to the yarn shops there and like looking at different yarns, maybe purchasing something, because it's kind of also like a nice souvenir in a way. So yeah, but for this time I ordered my yarn online, and to go with the sock wool that I just showed you, I got this like brown sock wool. It'll be a nice combination like with these 2 colors. The brown you can't really see in the video too well, I think, or hope you can see it, but this is my sock combination. This time I only ordered wool for projects that like I already know I'm gonna make. One of the next projects that I have planned is a mohair sweater, and I found this pattern on the Hobie website. And then of course they sell the pattern, or they don't sell the pattern. The pattern is for free to buy the wool off of them, and that's exactly what I did. So I guess this is a thank you to Hobie for posting a free pattern of a sweater. And this is the suggested yarn of the pattern. So it is the Friends Kid Silk by Hobie. Yeah, so this one is 72% mohair, 25% silk, and 3% wool. It is of the lace category, so it is a yarn group 0, as Hobie calls it. And 25 grams go 200 meters long. The needle size suggested is a 4 to 4.5 millimeter needle, and the gauge is 22 stitches by 28 rows. So I bought a darker blue, I believe this is called navy, it was color 87, and then this more, I guess it's a royal blue, correct me if I'm wrong, and this is the color 85. And what I'm actually gonna do is I'm gonna hold these 2 strands together to make like a really beautiful, nice blue sweater, just for the colder summer days or summer evenings. And I'm so excited. I've never made like a pure mohair silk item. I've usually put one strand of mohair with something, so I'm really excited because it's gonna be one of those like nice drapey, I'll put in a picture, nice drapey like kind of see-through sweaters that just looks so gorgeous. And I'm super excited to make this one with my new acquisition of Friends Kid Silk. So here's my Hobie bag. I ordered 8 skeins of that, so four in the light or lighter blue and then 4 in the darker blue. I think that my size in the pattern says I need exactly 3 skeins, but I'm just too scared to then just order 3 skeins, so I like added 1 more, so I know I'll be on the safe side. And I mean, one of these skeins is 25 grams, so that times 8 is 200 grams, and that should be more than enough. Okay, and then I needed to kind of get to the free shipping. I ordered some of this yarn. So I've used this yarn before. It is the cotton 804 mercerized, also by the Hobie own brand. I ordered it in black and white because I want to make some coasters, maybe some kitchen cloths or something like that with them. Yeah, I ordered a lot of these like last year before Christmas, and then made a beautiful pillowcase also as a gift, and I really enjoyed working with this yarn because it's just like a very firm, like good quality cotton yarn, mercerized, so it has that little like beautiful shine maybe a normal cotton yarn doesn't have. Yeah, it was lovely. I crocheted that pillowcase and I'll probably be crocheting with this again. I just love like a good mercerized basic cotton yarn. So I got black and white because I think that could create really cool visual effects. If you've seen those like videos of me, these are also the yarns I use to make my AirPod case holder and my AirTag holder, both of which are tutorials that I've made on here, and I love this yarn. I will buy it over and over. I don't think it's too expensive. I actually don't remember. I think it's around €2 per skein, and yeah, that's all that needs to be said about this beautiful cotton mercerized yarn. Okay, so those are all my acquisitions. I think in total for all these yarns, so that's 8 skeins of the mohair silk, then 4 skeins, or was it 5 skeins maybe, of the 5 skeins of the sock wool, and 4 skeins of the cotton mercerized, came out to just over €80. Yeah, which I think is a fine price. It's a normal price, especially for the mohair silk. That can get quite expensive, so that's also why I kind of went with the Hobie one, because it's like a pretty well-known brand, I would say, and yeah, I just trust them to make good yarn, I guess. Alright, so then the last thing I want to share in my acquisitions was, and I admit this was an impulse purchase, but kind of a fun one, and I mentioned this just now, but I got myself a knitting machine. I got myself the Centro 48 pin knitting machine, and yeah, I got it off of Amazon for around €55, I believe, and this is what it looks like. It came it's so much larger than I expected it. I don't know why. I watched a bunch of videos and stuff on it, but like I thought it was like maybe like this big from here to here, but nope, it's huge. So yeah, I made the hat with it, just kind of like to test it out. I'm just curious like how much joy it will actually bring me, because it does seem like it's pretty limiting in like what it can and cannot do. I tried it out. I made the hat. The hat was wonderful and it like came together super quickly, but I'm just not really sure if it will kind of let me be really creative with it, or yeah, I think I just have to get a little bit more into it. So I'm still like a little bit hesitant on whether or not this was a smart purchase or not, because it does take up quite a lot of space, and I think I've shared before, we do live in a small space, so it's not that easy to find a living space or home for everything. But we'll see. I said if I use it a bunch, I'll keep it, and if I don't use it, I will probably gift it or sell it to someone else. But we'll see. I've literally unboxed it like 2 or 3 days ago, so yeah, we'll see. But yeah, those are my acquisitions. Then for my future projects that I have planned, maybe for the next 3 or 4 weeks or so, I'm not really sure how often I'll like do these podcasts, because I did have like a bunch of projects to show now, so maybe I'll do them a little bit more frequently. Also depending on how much I make, of course. But the first one I just talked about is the mohair sweater by the Hobie Friends sweater, I think it's called. That's the main thing that I want to make, and then of course yeah, so this pair of socks that I just started, and then the other color combination of the same sock. And then I think I'm gonna focus a little bit more on gift making and just making smaller things, because I know it's only the end of July, but like in my head it's already almost Christmas in terms of like creating things, because you do kind of have to think ahead and plan it out a little bit. So I think I'm gonna like start thinking about what I want to make for certain people for Christmas, because I do like hand making my Christmas gifts. And yeah, so not too many more summer items on the list. I think if I get my granny square top done, that will be wonderful. I don't know if I will try to. So yeah, not too many more summer things on my list, but more, yeah, heading back into the long sleeve era or season or whatever you will. But yeah, so I think that is it for today. Thank you so much for watching. I'm really happy and I'm really enjoying all the comments you're leaving down below, and yeah, just all the positive vibes, all the yeah, likes and views and everything. I really am appreciating it. It's so lovely to see more and more of you here. And yeah, I hope maybe I inspired you a little bit of things that you might want to make in the next few weeks, months, or whatever. And yeah, I hope to see you in the next one. Bye, take care.